You think it's just a game, don't you? A cheap thrill for a Friday night when boredom hits a new low. A piece of wood, some letters, a plastic triangle. Harmless, right? That's what I thought too. And if you're still thinking that, then listen closely. Because this isn't just a story. This is a warning. It started like all bad decisions do. Three of us, late, restless, and fueled by a questionable amount of energy drinks. My friends, Chloe and Marcus, were always up for anything, especially if it involved pushing boundaries. The Ouija board was Chloe's idea. Her aunt had found it in an old attic, dusty and wrapped in a moth-eaten cloth, with that peculiar, unsettling aura that only forgotten things possess. We set it up on my coffee table, the dim glow of a single lamp casting long, swaying shadows that seemed to dance just out of sight. At first, it was all giggles and sarcastic questions. Is Chloe ever going to marry her ex? Will Marcus pass his next exam? The planchette remained stubbornly still. We scoffed, exchanged eye rolls, almost ready to call it a night. Then, a shiver. Not from the cold, but something deeper. The air in the room grew heavy, almost thick, making it hard to breathe. And the planchette, ever so slightly, began to twitch. "Did you do that?" Chloe whispered, her eyes wide. We all shook our heads, our fingers barely grazing the plastic. It moved again, slowly, deliberately, towards YES. A morbid curiosity replaced our skepticism. "Who are you?" Marcus asked, his voice unexpectedly steady. The planchette glided. MALACHI. My blood ran cold. The name felt ancient, heavy, wrong. We pressed on, asking stupid, terrified questions. Malachi was old, it claimed. Very old. It knew things about us that no one else could. My grandmother's secret nickname for me, the exact date Marcus had broken his arm as a child. Small, intimate details that sent prickles of dread up my spine. Then came the warning. LEAVE. But before we could react, it dragged wildly to STAY. The session ended abruptly. Chloe screamed, not at the board, but at Marcus, for brushing her arm too roughly. A ridiculous argument flared, a sudden, inexplicable animosity between them. I felt it too, a simmering resentment towards both of them for suggesting this whole thing. We packed the board away, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife, and they left in a huff. That night, my sleep was a battlefield. Whispers slithered from the corners of my room. Shadows twisted into grotesque shapes. I heard my name called, faint and breathy, inches from my ear, even though I was alone. It was constant, relentless, a low hum of unease that never truly faded. The real horror, though, began in the days that followed. It wasn't just the flickering lights, or the objects moving, or the distinct metallic scent that sometimes filled the air. It was them, Chloe and Marcus. They started fighting all the time, their friendship shattering over petty slights. Soon, they stopped talking to me too. They accused me of being distant, of being weird, of changing. I tried to explain what I was experiencing, but they just stared at me blankly, a strange, almost hostile indifference in their eyes. They barely even remembered Malachi. I was alone. Utterly, terribly alone. And that's when the whispers grew clearer, stronger. They weren't just noises anymore. They were words, promises of understanding, of never being alone again. And threats. Threats against anyone who tried to break the bond. One evening, desperation gnawing at my sanity, I pulled out the board again. Alone this time. My hands trembled as I placed them on the planchette. I didn't even ask a question. It moved on its own, with a speed and force that nearly sent it flying off the board. It didn't spell letters this time. It hammered them. HEISHERE. A cold dread seeped into my bones. A realization so profound it shattered my reality. Malachi wasn't in the house. Malachi was in me. It had latched onto me. The most curious, the most open, the one whose fear and isolation it could feast upon. It had subtly poisoned my dearest friendships, not to haunt them, but to isolate me, to make me vulnerable. I stumbled into the bathroom, flicking on the light. My reflection stared back. My eyes, usually a calm blue, seemed darker. A flicker of something ancient, something cold, sparked deep within their depths. A faint, knowing smile touched my lips, one that wasn't my own. And now, I tell you this story, not as a warning from a victim, but as an invitation from a host. Because Malachi, you see, likes an audience, and it's always looking for new friends. Just don't touch that board. Don't even think about it. Unless, of course, you want to meet us.